So what Phil Jackson talked about, what he said before the season ever began, before the tip ball was ever tipped, before anybody ever took a shot, before the ball was ever dribbled, he said what he used to do with Michael Jordan was put Michael Jordan in situations and have him see himself getting himself out of the situation before the situation ever occurred. And so he said in practice what he would do is give Michael Jordan the ball on the wing, and he would send the double team to come at Michael Jordan. And so as the double team came, what he did was had Michael Jordan perfect his fadeaway, because he understood that even in the midst of the season, the double team would come, even sometimes the triple team, and he had to put Jordan in situations to know that before the game was ever played, he wanted Jordan to make the best decision before he ever stepped foot on the court. And so he did this over and over again in practice so that when the real game time came, Jordan would not make a mistake, he would not panic, and he would not throw the ball away. Not only that, Phil Jackson talked about a game that he used with Michael Jordan, talked about the game was called one-on-one-on-one. And what one-on-one was Jordan would then play Scottie Pippen. You get 1 point. And what Jordan would do is Jordan would back Pippen down, he would hit Pippen with a fadeaway, and he would score on Pippen. Pippen would have to step off the court, then the next player would have to step on, and they would check ball up. Jordan would get the ball, Jordan would pump fake, he would drive, and he would score. The next player would then have to come up. He said they did this over and over. The first player to 100 wins. And what this ended up doing was the more and more Jordan did this, the more and more he got tired. He got physically drained. It wore him out because he kept having to play against people with fresh legs that as soon as they stepped on the court, they were quicker. They had more air. They were better in shape to run. But he understood that if I wear Jordan out before the season ever starts, that when the fourth quarter comes in the playoffs, Jordan will then have the energy and the stamina to hang in the game, to win the game before the season ever even started. Not only did Phil Jackson do this creative thing, but also Jimmy V, and Pastor talked about this on Sunday. There was a documentary that came on ESPN about a week ago, talked about Jimmy V, and for those who don't know, Jimmy V was the coach in 1984 of the University of North Carolina State, and he talked about in 1984 how before the season ever started, he had his players cut down the nets, visualizing themselves winning the championship before the season ever began. Tell your neighbor, see it before you see it. Now, this story about Joshua is interesting because the angel of the Lord, multimedia, put that scripture back up there for me. Then the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands along with its king and its fighting men. Now, the challenge is, if you ever read the story of Joshua, you would understand Joshua did not have the inheritance at this moment. God was telling Joshua to see it before you see it. Tell somebody, see it before you see it. So what Jimmy V had his players do, what Phil Jackson had his players do, and what God was having Joshua do was to visually see yourself entering into the promised land, owning everything in the promised land before you ever step into the promised land. See yourself before you ever step on a basketball court, hitting the game-winning shot. See yourself before you ever get to school, before you get to high school. See yourself walking across the high school stage, receiving your diploma. When you get to school, see yourself getting a scholarship before you ever apply to college. See it before you see it. This is what the angel was telling Joshua, to visually see yourself doing something great before you ever even do anything great. And there's three things I'm going to give to you, and then we're going to get up out of here.